Welcome to Martini Time. Here we are on a beautiful hot day in Blackstone, Virginia, and this is the center of the world. At least everybody who grows up here thinks it is. I didn't grow up here, but this is the center of my world, and you are the center of your world. So the topic of today's talk is Happy Dharma Trails to you. I was just thinking about Roy Rogers and the Singing Cowboys. Do you remember those movies? I grew up on them in the 50s, late 40s. And Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, the Singing Cowboys, Happy Trails to you. So here I am today saying Happy Dharma Trails to you. So what is Dharma? It's a Buddhist word. It's thrown around a lot. And nobody really knows what it means. I don't know what it means. But I work at it. And as you know, I hope you've been following, some of you have been following my talks, because I give a talk in the morning called The Buddha's in Your Landfill, or Buddhism Plain and Simple. And then I give this talk here today. And there is a Dharma connection between them, in the sense that there is a thread that's connecting them. I'm not sure what the thread is, but I feel like it's being connected. And yet each talk is a single knot. So it's a thread with knots in it. The thread is the Dharma. The knots are the individual talks, or the content, you see. But the thread that runs through, the river that runs through it, that's a common theme. The best mythological story of that is Theseus and the Minotaur and the labyrinth and Ariadne's thread. So when Theseus went into the labyrinth to kill the Minotaur, Ariadne gave him a golden thread that he would unravel as he went in, and he could follow it to get out. So the Ariadne's thread is kind of like a mythological Dharma thread, or happy trail, like the M&Ms for E.T., if you remember that. Or the clues that Sherlock Holmes, we watch the British mysteries, and the inspector or the detective follows the clues. That's the Dharma Trail. In other words, it's an unseen, you don't see it laid out. It's kind of like the pathless path that Krishnamurti talked about. In other words, there's no path there. But there's something thread there, something is connecting them together, but you can't see it, but you sense it, and you surrender to it. So the Dharma Trail is you have to surrender to it. Because you can't. It's not an obvious trail. It's not on the map. It's not in a manual. It's not in a teaching or a religion. You see, because it doesn't exist yet. You have to activate. You have to discover it. It's not already laid down. You have to activate it. By what? By surrender. So what do you surrender? Well, you surrender judgment of knowing what the clues mean. All the detective stories are basically about the surrender of judgment. And the detective, the master, you see, suspends judgment. Well, wait a minute, we don't know if he did it or not. Withhold judgment, follow the evidence, collect the evidence. You collect them and you put the evidence in the little bags. And all the detective stories, forensics, all of them, they collect all the evidence, and then they sit there and they sweat and they stew, and they jump up in the middle of the night and they can't figure it out, and suddenly, aha! And they go running off. I know who did it. Arrest that person. And then the person, and these are the classics, and then the murderer, caught with overwhelming evidence, confesses and says, I had no choice. You would have done it too. I had no choice, you see. So, but the idea, what I'm trying to convey is that the Dharma Trail, all our life is a Dharma Trail. Our lives are Dharma trails, and it's happy trails, in the sense that there is, as you get older and you look back on your life, you see a thread that you weren't aware of as you were younger, you see. But as you get older and looking back, you can see an interconnecting thread. Hopefully you can. If you don't look back and regret, say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, God, stupid. Well, then you'll never see the trail. Because that's a judgment. That's a value. Oh, I was stupid, you see. So surrender of judgment, evaluation, surrender of knowing, You don't know what the trail is, but you're curious. Like a detective, you have the intention of finding the trail, of following the scent. And what is that scent? It's the scent of God. It's the scent of the beloved. And what is the organ that smells that scent? It's the heart. It's not the mind. Not the mind, because the mind sees everything in pairs of opposites, this and that. Choice, either choose this or that. But the Dharma Trail is not a choice. See, the Dharma Trail is your whole life coming out in a thread. You got a ball of yarn and you got a thread coming out, you see. And so I don't know if there's is there fate, or do we all have a destiny, or are we just by chance? Are we just pinball, knocking around on a machine and getting a tilt sign? Are we just a pinball making lights go off, boom, 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 and then it goes in a hole? Or is there a destiny? Is there a nature we're unfolding, you see? So the Dharma unfolds our nature, but we cannot hear the call. We can miss the call. Joseph Campbell talks about that. The call to adventure, the call to Dharma, the call to your potential, the call to your inner nature, to your heart. Do we hear it, you see, or do I refuse it? You see, so this hearing and refusing is a constant theme in stories. All of our adventure stories and mythologies and all our art, you see, about the hero, is he hears the call to adventure. He accepts the call, often reluctantly, often by choice. He accepts his destiny. Even the story of Jesus is accepting his destiny, willfully, joyously accepting his destiny, his Dharma. The joyous participation in your nature, in your Dharma, you see. And so when you do that, when you joyously participate in your nature, you speak authentically, you speak from your heart. You speak your voice. Speak but the word, and my soul will be healed, is the Catholic prayer. Or the movie The King's Speech. It's all about the word. What is your word? You have to speak your word. Nobody's going to give it to you. You have to speak your true name. Nobody's going to give it to you. You have to name yourself. But it's a discovery, you see. Because life gives us names and definitions, families, culture, religions, all these things define us, label us, package us, put us out there like a pinball, boom, 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 bang, gone. You see. But your Dharma is you are unfolding your nature. Instead of being the created, you are the creator of your nature. And yet, your nature is something that you have to discover. So there's an ambiguity here. The sense of I'm creating myself and yet I have to discover myself. So do I already exist and I have to discover my next step? I have to discover my next turn, my next story? I have to discover what's already written? Or do I write my story? But the writing of my story is a discovery. Because if I feel like I'm writing it, all I'm writing is what I already know, which is past. So this is a paradox. How do I discover myself without knowing myself? Because everything I know is in my memory and has already been cataloged and put in the storehouse, you see. It's already past. But the Dharma Trail leads us into the unknown, into the unfolding of life, you see. So I don't know what my story is going to be. I don't know what my fate is going to be. And yet, when we look back, it seems like there's a thread. It seems like there's a story. So this is the mystery of Dharma. So the Dharma Trail is a mystery. It's there, but it's a mystery. And we either hear it or we don't, you see. We either answer the call or we don't. So, let's end with that mystery, and I'll see you in the morning at Buddha's in Your Landfill. Share my talks. I'm on YouTube, Ed Conley. They're all there. I have a lot of them. Can't believe they keep flowing out. Must be the Dharma Trail. And subscribe to the YouTube. I'll see you in the morning at Buddhism Made Simple. Thank you.